The throne room of Drax Prime sparkled like 1,000 stars had been captured and frozen in crystal. Empress Hannah sat on her elevated seat, her forearms resting on the armrests with practiced grace. Her violet skin seemed to glow under the lights, and her eyes, large and golden, stared down at the council members who had gathered before her. "You cannot be serious," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "Elder Bora." The oldest member of the council stepped forward. His own violet skin had faded with age, becoming almost gray. "Your Majesty, we are quite serious. The Korthon Dominion grows bolder each day. They have already taken 3 outer colonies. If we do not act soon, they will strike at the heart of our empire." Hannah's fingers tightened on the armrests. "And your solution is to marry me off to a human? A creature from a primitive planet that only discovered space travel 50 years ago." Another council member, a younger male named Taman, spoke up. "The humans have something we need, Your Majesty. Earth has resources we cannot obtain elsewhere. Their strategic position in the Outer Rim would give us a military advantage. A marriage alliance would secure their cooperation." "I am the Empress of 47 star systems," Hannah said slowly, each word deliberate. "I have led our people through economic collapse and to regional wars. And you want me to marry some savage from a backwater world?" Elder Bora's expression did not change. "It is the only way to avoid a war we cannot win, Your Majesty. The Korthon have numbers. We need allies." Hannah stood, all 4 of her arms gesturing in frustration. "Then send diplomats. Offer trade agreements. Why must I be the one to sacrifice?" "Because," Bora said quietly, "the humans requested you specifically. They will not accept anything less." The words hung in the air like poison. Hannah felt her hearts beating faster, both of them, a steady rhythm of anger and humiliation. The humans had requested her, as if she were some trophy to be won. "When," she asked finally, "he arrives tomorrow?" The human ship was small and ugly compared to Draxian vessels. It landed in the royal courtyard with a hiss of steam and a whine of primitive engines. Hannah watched from her balcony, refusing to greet the human personally. Let him come to her. She expected a delegation. She expected ceremony. What she got was a single human male walking down the ramp, carrying nothing but a small bag. He was shorter than she expected. Humans were supposed to be tall, or so the reports said, but this one barely reached the height of an average Draxian. He had dark hair, simple features, and wore clothing that looked comfortable rather than formal. As palace guards surrounded him, he simply smiled and raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I am Jiwan," he said in perfect Draxian, his accent only slightly off. "I believe I am expected." Captain Hyunwoo, the head of palace security, stepped forward. "You will come with us. The Empress will see you when she is ready." Kwan nodded. "Of course. Take your time." Hannah watched him being led inside. There was something about the way he moved that bothered her. He did not look around in wonder at the crystal spires or the floating gardens. He did not seem nervous or excited. He simply walked, as if visiting an alien palace was the most normal thing in the world. 3 days later, they were married. The ceremony was broadcast across all 47 systems. Trillions watched as Empress Hannah, dressed in traditional silver robes, stood beside the human Jiwan. He wore formal clothing, no black and simple, clearly made by human tailors. The priest, an elderly Draxian female, recited the ancient words of bonding. "Do you, Hannah, Empress of the Draxian people, accept this being as your partner in alliance and in life?" Hannah's jaw tightened. "I do, and do you, Guan of Earth, accept this honor and responsibility?" Guan looked at Hannah, really looked at her, not with the hunger or fear she had seen in other males, but with something else. Curiosity, perhaps, or kindness. "I do," he said simply. The priest joined their hands, one of Hannah's hands to Guan's. His skin was warm and soft, not at all like Draxian skin. She pulled away as soon as the ritual allowed. The celebration lasted for hours. Delegates from across the empire offered gifts and congratulations. The human ambassador, a woman named Minji, approached Hannah during a quiet moment. Your Majesty, Minji said, bowing slightly. I wonder if I might speak with you privately about Juan. Hannah's eyes narrowed. What about him? There are things you should know. Things about humans that I know. Everything I need to know, Hannah interrupted. Your people are primitive but useful. This marriage serves a purpose. That is all. Minji's expression changed, becoming harder. With respect, Your Majesty, you do not know everything. Gyuan, is that will be all, Ambassador? Minji looked like she wanted to say more, but she bowed and walked away. Hannah turned to find Jiwan watching her from across the room. He raised his glass in a small toast and smiled. It was not a mocking smile or a happy one. It was patient, like he was willing to wait for something. The first week of marriage was strange. Giwan lived in the western wing of the palace, where environmental controls had been adjusted for human comfort. Hannah never visited. She had no reason to. This was a political arrangement. Nothing more, but reports came to her anyway. The human requested access to the Imperial Library, her secretary told her. He has been reading for 6 hours straight. Let him read, Hannah said. At least he is quiet. The next day, the human walked through the meditation gardens. He spent an hour sitting by the fountain and nothing, Your Majesty. He just sat there. On the third day, Captain Hyunwoo came to her personally. Your Majesty, I must report something unusual. Hannah looked up from her work. What is it? The human went to the high-gravity training facility. He said he wanted to exercise. So, Your Majesty, the gravity there is set to 3 times Draxian standard. It is meant to train our elite soldiers. Most species would be crushed, and Hyunwoo hesitated. He ran on the track for an hour. Without assistance, without protective gear, he acted as if it was normal. Hannah felt a flicker of unease. Perhaps human gravity is higher than we thought. You checked, Your Majesty. Earth's gravity is almost identical to ours. That night, Hannah could not sleep. She kept thinking about Juan running and crushing gravity, about the way he had smiled at the wedding, about Ambassador Minji's warning. There are things you should know. Finally, she rose from her bed and walked through the palace halls. She did not know what drew her to the western wing, but her feet carried her there anyway. Through the window of Juan's quarters, she could see him sitting in a chair, reading by lamp lit. It was the middle of the night. He should have been sleeping. Instead, he turned the pages of a book, completely alert, as if he had no need for rest at all. Hannah turned and walked away, her heart's beating faster. What exactly had her counsel brought into her home? And why did the sight of a human reading quietly in the night fill her with such strange, nameless fear? 2 weeks passed, and Hannah found herself noticing Giwan more than she wanted to. Not because he demanded attention, he was the quietest person in the entire palace, but because everyone else kept talking about him. The human helped the gardeners yesterday, one servant told another as Hannah passed by. He carried stones for the new pathway. Stones that usually require 3 of us. I heard he fixed the water fountain in the east courtyard, another replied. Used tools he made himself. Hannah tried to ignore the gossip, but it was everywhere. The kitchen staff said he was polite and ate anything they served without complaint. The librarians said he had already read 43 books. The guards said he greeted them every morning and knew all their names. It was annoying. She was the Empress. She should be the center of attention, not some human who did nothing but read and smile. On the 16th day, Hannah decided to visit him herself. Not because she cared, she told herself, but because she needed to establish proper boundaries. This was her palace, her empire. She would not have some primitive alien becoming more popular than her in her own home. She found him in the gardens, sitting on a bench beneath a crystal tree. He was wearing simple clothes against soft fabric that looked nothing like proper Draxian fashion. When he saw her approach, he stood immediately and bowed. Your Majesty, he said, this is a pleasant surprise. We need to talk, Hannah said, keeping her voice formal. About your behavior. Have I done something wrong? You are too friendly with the staff? You forget your position. Juan tilted his head slightly, studying her. My position as your husband? or my position as a human? Hannah felt her face grow warm. Both. Neither. You should maintain proper distance. Act with dignity. I greet people and help when I can. Is that not dignified? It is not appropriate for someone of your rank to carry stones like a common laborer. Why not? Jiwan asked, and there was no challenge in his voice, only genuine curiosity. If I have the strength and someone needs help, why would I not assist? Hannah opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. She could not think of a good answer that did not sound petty. Just be more careful, she said finally. People are watching you, No Jiwan said. That is why I'm careful to be kind. The state dinner was a grand affair. Representatives from 12 different species had gathered to celebrate the new alliance between the Draxian Empire and Earth. Hannah sat at the head of the table with Giwan at her right side. She had insisted he attend, though she regretted it now. He looked uncomfortable in the formal clothing, and he kept using the wrong utensils. Ambassador Minji sat further down the table, watching Jiwan with an expression Hannah could not read. Concern, pride, warning. The dinner proceeded smoothly. Delegates spoke about trade and peace. Wine flowed freely. Hannah began to relax. Perhaps this marriage would work out after all. Perhaps Jiwan would remain a quiet, harmless presence in her life. Then the lights went out. For a moment, there was only darkness and confused voices. Then emergency lighting flickered on, casting everything in red. And in that red light, Hannah saw it. A creature stood at the far end of the hall. It was massive, 3 meters tall, and covered in black scales. Its eyes glowed yellow, and its mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. A Korthon shock trooper, bred for assassination. The guards reacted immediately, raising their weapons. But the creature was faster. It moved like liquid death, crossing the room in seconds. 2 guards went down. 3 more were thrown aside like toys. The creature was heading straight for Hannah. She stood, reaching for the ceremonial blade at her waist. She was Empress, yes, but she had trained in combat like all Draxian nobles. She would not die cowering. But before she could draw her weapon, Jiwan stepped between her and the creature. Move, human, she shouted. Jiwan did not move. He simply stood there, facing the Korthon trooper, his hands empty and relaxed at his sides. The creature laughed a horrible grinding sound. A human? They sent a human to protect you? It raised one massive claw. I will enjoy killing you first. What happened next took 3 seconds. Maybe less. The Korthon trooper swung its claw at Jiwan's head. Jiwan moved. Not fast. Not in any way that seemed superhuman, just moved. His hand came up and touched the creature's chest, right over where its heart would be. The trooper stopped mid-swing. Its eyes went wide. Then it made a sound Hannah had never heard before, a whimper of pure primal terror. The creature stumbled backward, clutching its chest. It collapsed to the floor. G1 stood there for a moment, looking down at the body. Then he turned and walked back to his seat. He picked up his napkin, wiped his hands, and resumed eating. The entire hall was silent. Every eye was on Jiwan. He seemed not to notice, or if he did not care. Hannah found her voice first. What? What did you do? Jiwan looked up at her, and for just a moment she saw something in his eyes. Something old and tired and very, very dangerous. Then he smiled, and it was gone. I kept you safe, my Empress, he said softly. Isn't that what a husband does on a paste in her private chambers? Captain Hunwu stood by the door. And Commander Daeon, her intelligence chief, sat in a chair, reviewing data on a holographic display. Tell me everything, Hannah demanded. Daeon's fingers moved across the controls. The Korthon trooper was a Class 7 biological weapon, designed for assassination. Enhanced strength, enhanced speed, reinforced skeletal structure. It should have been nearly impossible to kill with bare hands, yet the human did it in seconds. Yes, Your Majesty. How? Daeon hesitated. I do not know. There were no visible wounds on the creature, no signs of poison or weapons. It simply died. Hannah stopped pacing. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have, Dayon said. I have sent requests to our xenobiology teams. They're examining the body now. But, Your Majesty, there is something else you should know. He changed the holographic display. A star map appeared, with Earth highlighted in yellow. I took the liberty of researching humanity more thoroughly. The results are troubling. Show me. Dayon brought up a series of reports. Earth has been visited before. 3 separate expeditions over the past 200 years. The first was from the Vexian Trade Federation. They sent a survey team of 47 researchers. And they never returned. No distress signal, no wreckage, just gone. Hannah felt cold. Continue. The second expedition was from the Melor Science Council. 23 scientists. Same result. The third was a Korthon military probe. 15 soldiers in full combat gear. Dayon looked up at her. Also disappeared. Why was this not in the initial reports? Because Dayon said quietly, the incidents were classified by every government involved. No one wanted to admit they had lost ships to a primitive world. And the reports that do exist. He pulled up another file. They classify Earth as a Class 12 death world. Class 12. That is the highest rating. Yes, Your Majesty. Earth has gravity similar to ours, but that is where the similarities end. The planet experiences extreme temperature swings. Regular natural disasters, thousands of toxic substances, predators that hunt in packs, and humans evolved to survive all of it. Hannah sat down slowly. What are you saying? I am saying, Dayon replied, that humans are not primitive because they lack intelligence. They are classified as primitive because they are too dangerous. Other species avoid them. Captain Hyunwoo spoke for the first time. Your Majesty, I have been watching the human closely since the dinner. His breathing never changed. His heart rate never increased. He killed a Korthon shock trooper and did not even sweat. Hannah looked at both of them. Find out everything you can about humans. Everything. I want to know what I have brought into my palace. But even as she gave the order, she knew the truth was going to be worse than she imagined. Commander Dayon returned 3 days later with files that made Hannah's blood run cold. Your Majesty, he began, spreading holographic documents across her desk. What I am about to tell you is not official record. Most of this information has been suppressed by various galactic governments for decades. Hannah leaned forward. Tell me everything. Humans call themselves endurance predators, Dayon said. On Earth, there are animals that run faster, fight harder, and kill more efficiently than humans. But humans have one ability no other species on their planet can match. They never stop. Explain. Dayon pulled up a video file. It showed a human running across a dry plain, following a 4-legged animal. This is ancient footage from Earth. The animal is faster, but watch what happens. Hannah watched. The human ran. The animal sprinted ahead, then slowed. The human kept running. The animal ran again, slower this time. The human maintained the same pace. After what seemed like hours, the animal simply collapsed from exhaustion. The human walked up to it and killed it with a simple tool. They do not need to be faster, Dayon said. They just need to outlast their prey. And they always do. This is one human hunting one animal. What does this have to do with Juwan? Everything, Your Majesty. Dayon pulled up more files. Humans have exceptional endurance, but that is not their only advantage. Their bodies are designed for survival in ways we do not fully understand. They heal rapidly from injuries that would cripple other species. They can survive without food for weeks. They adapt to extreme temperatures. And their psychology. He paused. They do not experience fear the way we do. What do you mean fear makes most species freeze or flee? Humans feel fear, but they can choose to ignore it. They can walk toward danger instead of away from it. It is a psychological trait that evolved because their ancestors had to face threats that should have killed them. Hannah stood and walked to the window. Below, she could see Jiwon in the gardens again, reading under a tree. He looked so harmless. There is more, Dayon continued. I found references to humans and mercenary records across the galaxy. They do not advertise themselves, but those who know about them pay very high prices for human soldiers. Why? Because humans do not break. Put them in an impossible situation, and they will find a way to survive. Other species surrender when defeat is certain. Humans keep fighting. There are reports of single humans holding positions against forces 10 times their size, not because they are stronger, but because they simply refuse to stop. Hannah turned to face him. How many humans are there on Earth? Dayon checked his data. Approximately 6 billion. The number struck Hannah like a physical blow.
6 billion.
Creatures that never stopped, never gave up, never knew when they were beaten, and one of them was living in her palace. I need to speak with him, she said. Hannah found Jiwan that evening in his quarters. She dismissed the guards and entered alone. He was sitting in a chair, reading another book. When he saw her, he started to stand, but she held up a hand. Stay seated. We need to talk. Jiwan closed the book and set it aside. Of course, Your Majesty. She sat across from him, all 4 of her arms folded. Who are you really? And do not tell me you are just a simple volunteer. Jiwan was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to know? Everything. The truth. What you did to that Korthon trooper, which you are. He met her eyes, and for the first time since she had known him, his expression was completely serious. I am a soldier, Hannah, or I was. I served in the Earth Defense Force for 12 years. Doing what? Protecting my people. Fighting wars you have never heard of. Surviving things that should have killed me. He leaned back in his chair. When Earth made contact with your empire, our government saw an opportunity. You needed allies. We needed access to galactic technology and resources. So I volunteered to be the bridge. Volunteered to marry me. Volunteered to be gentle, Giwan corrected. That is harder than you might think. Hannah felt anger rising. You think I am afraid of you? You think I should be grateful you are holding back? I think, Jiwan said carefully, that you are starting to understand what humans are. And yes, you should be afraid. Not of me specifically, but of what I represent, which is a species that evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We survived ice ages and droughts and plagues. We fought predators with nothing but rocks and sticks. We learned to make fire and tools and weapons. We built cities and civilizations while the planet kept trying to destroy us. And through it all, we learned one fundamental truth. If you want to survive, you never ever stop trying. Hannah stood abruptly. Show me. Show you what? Show me what you can do. Prove that you are as dangerous as Commander Dayon's reports suggest. Giwan studied her for a moment, then nodded. Very well, follow me. They went to the Imperial training grounds. The facility was empty at this hour, just rows of equipment and combat arenas. Jiwan walked to the center of the largest arena and turned to face her. Call your best warrior, he said. Hannah activated her communication device. Captain Hyunwoo, send Champion Sungray to the training grounds. Immediately. 10 minutes later, Champion Sungray arrived. He was massive, even by Draxian standards, with 4 heavily muscled arms and scars from 100 battles. He had never lost a fight, never even come close to defeat. Your Majesty, he said, bowing. You summoned me? I want you to fight the human, Hannah said. Full combat. Do not hold back. Sungri looked at Jiwan and smiled. As you command, Your Majesty, though I will try not to kill him. You can try, Guan said quietly. The fight began. Sungri moved fast, all 4 arms striking at once. Giwan simply stepped aside. Sungri attacked again, a complicated combination that should have been impossible to avoid. Giwan ducked under one arm, sidestepped another, and let the other 2 punches pass by his head with centimeters to spare. Stand still, human. Sungri roared. But Jiwan did not stand still. He moved constantly, never in the same place for more than a moment. Sungri grew more aggressive, using his full strength. His fists cracked the floor where Giwan had been standing a second before. His kicks would have broken bones. None of them connected. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Sungri was breathing hard now, sweat covering his skin. Giwan's breathing had not changed at all. "What is wrong?" Giwan asked. "Getting tired?" Sungri roared and charged. Giwan waited until the last possible moment, then moved aside. Sungri stumbled, off balance. And then, for just a second, Giwan moved differently. Not defensively, but with purpose. His hand touched Sungri's shoulder, just a light touch hand. The champion went down hard, gasping. "I cannot, ... Sungri struggled to rise. "I cannot breathe." Juan stepped back. "You can breathe. Your body just thinks you cannot. It will pass in a moment." Hannah stared as her champion struggled to his feet, confused and frightened. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Hit a nerve cluster," Guan said. "Temporarily disrupted his breathing reflex. He is not injured, but if I had wanted to, I could have stopped his heart instead." "How do you know where to strike?" "Draxian anatomy is different from humans. I have been reading your medical texts in the library," Guan said. "Every species has vulnerabilities. Pressure points. Ways to shut down the body without causing permanent damage. It is basic knowledge for human soldiers." "Basic knowledge," Hannah repeated. "You are telling me that every human soldier knows how to kill any species they encounter?" "Yes, it is part of our training. We study xenobiology. Learn weak points. How to fight enemies stronger than us, faster than us, more numerous than us." Gaiwan looked at Sungri, who was still recovering. "But we also learn restraint. I could have killed him 6 times during that fight. I chose not to." Hannah felt something like ice spreading through her chest. "Why? Why did you choose not to?" "Because I am not here to fight, Hannah. I am here to show that humans can be trusted, that we can be partners instead of threats." He walked closer to her. "But you needed to see the truth first. You needed to understand what we are before you can understand what we choose to be." She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw behind the gentle smile and the quiet demeanor. She saw a predator that had learned to be still, a weapon that had chosen not to fire, and it terrified her more than any army ever had. 6 billion, she whispered. 6 billion like you?" "More, actually," Juan said. "And most of them are better at this than I am." 3 weeks after the demonstration, the Korthon Dominion made their move. Hannah was in the war room when the alarm started. Commander Dayon pulled up tactical displays showing dozens of enemy ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. "How many?" Hannah demanded. 47 capital ships, Your Majesty." "Hundreds of smaller vessels? They are moving toward Drax Prime." Captain Hyunwoo slammed his fist on the table. "This is a full invasion. They mean to take the capital." Hannah felt her hearts racing, but forced herself to stay calm. "Mobilize all defense fleets. Activate planetary shields. Send word to our allies, Your Majesty," Dayon interrupted. "Our allies cannot reach us in time. We are alone." The room fell silent. Every officer present knew what that meant. The Korthon Dominion had superior numbers and had caught them unprepared. Even with planetary defenses, Drax Prime could not hold forever. The door to the war room opened. Jiwan walked in, still wearing his simple civilian clothes. "You should not be here," Hannah said. "This is a military matter." "I know," Giwan replied. "That is why I came." "You need help. What can you possibly do against an invasion fleet?" Giwan walked to the tactical display and studied it for a moment. "Give me command of 1 battalion. Ground forces only." Several officers laughed. Captain Hyunwoo shook his head. "Human, this is not a game. We face the Korthon Dominion. They will land troops that have been bred for war." "I know what they are," Juwan said calmly. "I also know how to fight them. Give me 1 battalion, and I will hold the Palace District." "The Palace District is 12 square kilometers," Dayon said. "With 1 battalion, you would need 2. I know what I would need to do." Hannah looked at him. His expression was not boastful or aggressive. He simply stated facts like discussing the weather. And she remembered what he had said. Humans never stop trying. You have your battalion, she said. But if you fail, then I will die trying. That is how humans work. The Korthon forces broke through the planetary shields after 2 days of bombardment. Their landing craft descended like a swarm of metal insects, carrying thousands of shock troopers. The Draxian military fought back, but the enemy had numbers and momentum. Within 6 hours, Korthon forces had taken the outer districts. Within 12 hours, they were pushing toward the palace. And then they reached the territory Giwan's battalion was holding. The first Korthon squad to enter the palace district never reported back. Neither did the second, or the third. The Korthon commanders sent a full platoon 50 heavily armed troops. They found the bodies of the previous squads, but no sign of the enemy. Then the shooting started from windows, rooftops, underground passages. The Korthon troops fired back, but their attackers were already gone. This is not Draxian fighting style, one Korthon officer reported to his superiors. They do not stand and fight. They hit us and disappear. We cannot pin them down. Then burn the district, the commander ordered. If they will not face us, we will destroy everything until they have nowhere to hide. But even that did not work. The fires revealed nothing. The destruction created more hiding places. And always the attacks continued. A sniper shot from a building that was supposed to be empty. An ambush in a street that seemed deserted. Traps that killed without warning. The Korthon forces began to slow. Then they began to retreat. Not because they were losing, they still had superior numbers, but because their troops were becoming afraid. Soldiers reported seeing shadows that moved like ghosts, hearing sounds that could not be located, finding their comrades dead with no indication of what killed them. It is one battalion, a Korthon captain said, his voice shaking on the com channel. How can one battalion do this? In the palace war room, Hannah watched the tactical displays in disbelief. Giwan's forces were not winning through strength. They were winning through fear and exhaustion and the simple fact that they refused to fight fair. Where is he? She asked Daeon, the human. We lost track of him hours ago. His troops report that he moves independently, coordinating through com channels. Find him. Hannah found Giwan in the ruins of what had been a market square. He was crouched behind a broken wall, speaking quietly into a com device. When he saw her approach, he held up a hand for silence, finished his conversation, then lowered the device. You should not be here, Your Majesty. This area is not secure, neither's my palace, but I refuse to hide while my people fight. She knelt beside him. What are you doing? Winning? Giwan said simply. The Korthon expected a traditional battle. They trained for formations and honor duels in tactical superiority. We are giving them something different. We are terrorizing them, yes. That is the point. He pointed to the tactical map on his device. They have superior numbers and equipment. We cannot beat them in direct combat. So we make them afraid. We make them tired. We make them doubt every shadow and every sound. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. This is how humans fight. This is how humans survive when we are outnumbered. We do not play by the rules our enemies expect. We cheat. We hide. We attack from unexpected angles. And we never, ever stop. Giwan looked at her. Your people fight with honor, Hannah. That is admirable. But sometimes honor gets you killed. An explosion sounded in the distance. Giwan listened to his com device, then nodded. The Korthon just lost another platoon. They walked into a trap my soldiers set 2 hours ago. How long can you keep this up? As long as necessary. My troops are tired, but the Korthon are more tired. They have been fighting for 18 hours without rest. We can go longer. You need sleep. I need about 4 hours every 48 hours. Right now I am fine. He stood and offered her his hand. Come. I will escort you back to the palace. The Korthon warlord has called for single combat. He wants to challenge you personally. Hannah took his hand and stood. Then I will face him. No, Giwan said. I will. The challenge was broadcast across all channels. The Korthon warlord, a massive creature named Thorax, stood in the palace courtyard. He was 3 meters tall, covered in battle scars, and held a weapon that could cut through steel. I challenged the Empress to single combat. He roared, "Face me, Draxian, or surrender your world." Giwan walked out to meet him. Thorak laughed. "They send the human. The little pet? Where is your Empress, human? Hiding behind her skirts? She is the Empress," Quan said quietly. "She does not fight for entertainment. But I am her husband. I will fight in her place, husband." Thorak's laugh grew louder. "They married their Empress to a human? A species so weak they cannot even survive their own planet without tools." "Something like that," Gaywan said. The fight began. Thorak moved fast for his size, his weapon swinging in deadly arcs. Gaywan did not try to block or parry. He simply was not there when the blade came down. He moved around Thorak like water, never in the same place, always just out of reach. "Stand still and fight." Thorak roared, "Why would I do that?" The warlord grew angrier, his attacks more wild. Gaywan continued to evade, and with each misstrike, Thorak became more tired. After 5 minutes, the warlord was breathing hard. After 10, his movements were noticeably slower. Then Gaywan struck, not with a weapon, but with his hands. He hit Thorak's knee from the side, and the joint buckled. As the warlord stumbled, Gaywan hit him twice more, once in the throat, once behind the ear. Thorak went down hard. Gaywan knelt beside the fallen warlord and whispered something that only Thorak could hear. The warlord's eyes went wide with terror. He struggled to his feet and immediately activated his come device. "All forces withdraw immediately. Retreat to the ships. This is not a drill, abandon the invasion." Within an hour, the Korthon fleet was gone. Hannah found Gaywan standing alone in the courtyard. "What did you say to him?" Gaywan turned to face her. "I told him the truth. I told him there are 6 billion more humans on Earth. I told him that most of them are better at fighting than I am. I told him that if the Korthon Dominion ever attacks the Draxian Empire again, Earth will consider it an act of war." He paused. "And I told him what happens when humans go to war. What happens? We do not stop until our enemy does not exist anymore." The palace was quiet in the aftermath of war. Work crews repaired damage to the district, while medical teams tended to the wounded. The Draxian Empire had survived, but everything felt different now. News of the human defender had spread across all 47 systems. And beyond, Hannah sat in her private garden 3 days after the Korthon retreat. She had not slept well since the invasion. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Gaywan moving through the ruins, directing troops with calm precision. Fighting a warlord twice his size without fear, she heard footsteps and turned to see Gaywan approaching. He still wore simple clothes, though they were cleaner now. He carried 2 cups of Tia Draxian blend she recognized from the palace kitchens. "May I join you?" he asked. Hannah gestured to the bench beside her. "It is your home too." They sat in silence for a moment, drinking tea and watching the crystal trees sway in the artificial breeze. Finally, Hannah spoke. "I owe you an apology." Gaywan looked surprised. "For what? For treating you as something less than you are? For assuming you were primitive and weak? For every cold word and dismissive gesture since you arrived?" She set down her cup. "You saved my empire. You saved my life. And I have been nothing but cruel to you." "You were scared," Quan said. "That is understandable. I am scary. What I can do is scary. The council forced you into a marriage with something you did not understand. Of course you were defensive. I thought you were never cruel back. You were patient, kind, even when I did not deserve it." Juan smiled. "That is because I understood what you were going through. My people have a saying, fear makes people build walls. Understanding makes them build bridges. I was trying to build a bridge. Did you succeed? That depends. Are you still afraid of me?" Hannah considered the question carefully. "Yes, but in a different way. I am no longer afraid you will hurt me. I am afraid of what it means that you choose not to. Explain. Could kill everyone in this palace without breaking a sweat. You could probably kill everyone on this planet if you wanted to. But you choose gentleness instead. That choice, that constant, deliberate choice is more frightening than the violence itself, because it means you are thinking, deciding. Every moment of every day, you are deciding not to be a monster. Guan was quiet for a long moment. You understand humans better than most species. Yes, that is exactly what we do. Every human you meet has the capacity for terrible violence. We evolve that way. But we also evolve the ability to choose differently. That is what makes us human, not the violence, but the choice to be better than our worst instincts. Is it difficult, making that choice? Sometimes, when I fought the Korthon, part of me wanted to keep going, to hunt them down and make sure they could never threaten anyone again. That is the predator part of my brain, the part that kept my ancestors alive. But the human part of my brain said no. The war is over. They retreated. Let them go. He looked at her. The human part won. What if it had not? Then I would not be the person I want to be. That evening, Ambassador Minji returned to the palace. She met with Hannah privately, bringing news from Earth. Your Majesty, my government has sent new instructions. Jiwan's mission has been completed successfully. The alliance is secure. He is free to return to Earth, if he wishes. Hannah felt something twist in her chest. I see. When will he leave? That is his decision, not ours. The offer is open, but we will not force him. Minji hesitated. Your Majesty, may I speak freely? Please do. I tried to warn you about Jiwan when he first arrived. You dismissed me. I want you to know I was not trying to scare you. I was trying to help you understand what you were getting. And what was I getting? The best of us, Minji said softly. Jiwan volunteered for this mission, knowing it might be permanent, knowing he might never see Earth again, knowing he would have to constantly hold back what he is capable of. We sent him because he is one of the few humans who can do that successfully. Who can be gentle by choice, not by nature. What was he before he volunteered? A combat specialist? He served in conflicts you have never heard of, because Earth keeps our wars private. We do not advertise our capability for violence. Jiwan has seen things and done things that would give you nightmares. And then he came here and helped your gardeners move stones. Minji smiled. That is the human you married, Your Majesty. A killer who chose to be kind. After Minji left, Hannah went looking for Jiwan. She found him in the library, naturally, reading a book about Draxian history. Can we talk? She asked. He closed the book. Of course. Ambassador Minji told me you can leave. That Earth will allow you to come home. That is true. Do you want to go? Jiwan was quiet for a long time. Part of me does. I miss Earth. I miss my family. I miss feeling like I belong somewhere. He looked at her. But another part of me has found something unexpected here. Purpose. On Earth, I was a soldier. That is all I knew how to be. But here, I have been other things. A helper. A protector. A student of your culture. Maybe even, he paused. Maybe even a husband if you will have me. Hannah felt her heart's beating faster. You want to stay? I want to try making this real. Not a political arrangement, but an actual partnership. You are brilliant, Hannah. Your empire is beautiful. Your people are honorable. And you, he smiled, you are not. I was horrible to you. You were honest. That is more valuable than false kindness. Guan stood and walked closer to her. I am not asking for love. I know that takes time. But I am asking for a chance. Let me stay. Let me show you that humans can be more than weapons. That I can be more than what you fear. Hannah looked at him, really looked at him. Man saw not the predator or the soldier, but the man who had chosen to be gentle. The man who had saved her empire and asked for nothing in return. The man who had carried stones for gardeners and read books about her people's history. Stay, she said, but not as a political arrangement. Stay as my partner. Help me understand your people. Help me build a real alliance between our worlds. And maybe, Jiwan said softly, help each other become better than we were before. 6 months later, Hannah and Jiwan walked through the palace gardens together. Things had changed. The Korthon Dominion had sued for peace, terrified of provoking Earth's intervention. Other galactic powers were suddenly very interested in diplomatic relations with both the Draxian Empire and humanity. Earth had begun opening embassies across the galaxy, always staffing them with their most diplomatic, most patient representatives. Your people are being very careful, Hannah observed. We have to be, Giwan replied. The galaxy is afraid of us now. We need to show them we can be trusted. Can you be? As long as no one threatens the people we care about, then ... He shrugged. Then we become something else. Hannah took his hand, his small, warm, human hand. She no longer flinched at the touch. Instead, she found it comforting. A reminder that strength did not have to mean violence, that power could choose to be gentle. I have been reading about Earth, she said, about your history, and you've been at war for most of your existence, fighting each other, fighting your environment, fighting for survival. How did you not destroy yourselves? We came close. Many times, Juan squeezed her hand gently. But we learned something important. We learned that our capacity for violence is only frightening if that is all we are. We had to become more than predators. We had to become people who could choose peace, and now we are trying to be better. It is hard. We still make mistakes. But we keep trying because that is what humans do. We endure. We adapt. We never give up. He smiled at her. Even on things like learning to be good husbands. Anna laughed a real laugh, not the formal sound she used in court. You are learning, slowly. I am human. I have time. They walked in comfortable silence past crystal trees and flowing fountains. Somewhere in the palace, the council was meeting with Earth's new ambassador, discussing trade agreements and military cooperation. Somewhere in the galaxy, other species were watching nervously as humanity took its first real steps onto the galactic stage. But in the gardens of Drax Prime, an Empress and a human simply enjoyed each other's company. Proof that even the most terrifying power could choose love over fear, partnership over dominance, and gentleness over violence. And perhaps, Hannah thought, that choice was the most powerful thing of all.